We have the next is the knowledge session presented by architect Jayesh, Hariyani, I Design, Mr. Parth, Joshi, I Design, and engineer Utsav, Shah from DUCON Consultants. The topic is an integrated design of India's largest aquatic gallery. The Aquatic Gallery is India's largest public aquarium with state-of-the-art life support systems and is designed and curated to give a memorable journey of the underwater world. The aquarium consists of different tanks dedicated to aquatic species from across the world, with a main tank consisting of sharks and a 28-meter walkway tunnel, providing an experience never seen before. Here one can get a glimpse of over 188 species and 11,600 fishes under one roof. I'll introduce the team presenting the project. The architect Jayesh Hariyani from I Design. Architect Jayesh Hariyani has served the building and design industry for over 30 years, specializing in architecture and planning, combining city planning, urban design, architecture, interior architecture, mixed-use real estate development based upon sustainability. He has worked in Europe, USA, UAE, and Asia. As a founder and chairman of I, he is instrumental in forming and delivering research-driven, large multi-use developments that are driven by good planning, architecture, technology, and sustainable principles. His work has won many recognized international and national awards, including FAIA honor from the American Institute of Architects. He has also held teaching positions at Carnegie Mellon University and University of Texas, and has served as a director and principal of Architecture and Planning School at Ganpat University, and is currently Board of Advisory for Nirma University School of Architecture and Planning. He has been a presenter at several national and international conferences. Next, we have Mr. Parth Joshi, again from I Design. Parth is a registered professional engineer in the US and a lead accredited professional. He has over 14 years of global design and project management experience in the field of building systems and infrastructure engineering design. He leads a team of highly skilled and motivated individuals dedicated to delivering high-quality design solutions in mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection design for INI's MEPFP engineering department. Over the past 15 years, he has successfully completed numerous complex and challenging projects in the US and India and worked with some of the best architects in the world. The third in the team is Mr. Utsav Shah from DUCON Consultants. Utsav Shah empowers DUCON with global design codes, technology, innovations, ethics, and expertise. His drive to take up challenging and complex projects has resulted in the organization creating a wide range of real estate masterpieces. He continually works and collaborates with international and Indian architects, developers, contractors, peer review consultants, government approval agencies, and corporate teams. What makes Utsav a great asset to the company is his rare ability to drive the technical as well as the commercial aspects of the business, including business development activities, sourcing, and exploring new markets and segments, reviewing contract documents, client presentation for bidding new projects. This gives him a 360-degree understanding of the project needs from architectural perspective, as well as clientele budget and interaction with key stakeholders of the project. He is a lead accredited professional and is registered as a Grade 1 structural engineer with the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation and Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority. I request the team of I Design to please come on the stage and make their presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for I Design team.
Good evening. All awake? Full projects, isn't it? Lot of creativity. And I was amazed the detailing and the level of depth in all designs. I think I'm proud of all of the presenters and their work. So, I'd like to just have a dialogue so I understand where to put a pause and where to stress a little bit. How many architects in the room, please? Wonderful. Interior designers, landscape architects, structural, civil. Wonderful. MEP consultants. One here with us, so don't worry. Great. And the rest, I would say, are representing one or the other way the building industry. Thank you, iDAC, for first ever iDAC in Surat. I'm sure that you will keep doing more. And you will really bring a lot of platform to Surat starting today. So thank you. Time given to us is 30 minutes in your page, but I'm told you can take more, which is 45 minutes. So let's see. Without the buzzer, please. I'm not saying somebody else told that. Thank you. Quick introduction. I think the projects really had a collaborative spirit, and what iDAC's theme is that the good project is all about collaboration and integration. And through this project, we will try to showcase some of that. Okay? वहाँ पे point करना है मेरे को? Yes. I Design Studio quick. For any design team, I think you have some beliefs in what you like or do not like. What you believe in is what drives the value systems, right? So before I get into the project nitty-gritty and the design, these are the value systems that really drive our spirit and our project's spirit. Now, if you have a value system as a team or as an individual, it has to filter through every team member that you have. And the scale and size of projects which we do are multidisciplinary, large scale, where you have a large scale as well as a lot of different segments of the people that come in our company, from juniors to all the way seniors, and various geographic locations. So you have to create a system that is driven by your values that I projected first into a framework so that it's easy to channelize into your projects. We call it 10 metrics. So values drive the framework of 10 metrics, and they are written. One or the other way, our projects are driven by these metrics. So going back one more slide. You can look online. There is a book written 10M, which is 10 metrics, available globally, talks about our 10 metrics design process. So I encourage you to do that. Similarly, when you have a framework which is driven by the value, now, how do you really channelize the framework in the collaborative spirit? So we really stress that collaborative spirit, whether it's internal or with external consultants, that drives most of our projects. There's a book published by Mappin, talks about our collaborative design practice called Designing for Modern India, available globally as well as on Amazon. So I encourage you to look for that. In our sectors, we pretty much have something to offer in any sectors that comprises the built environment. I won't read the sector's name. The numbers speak how many square feet or quantum of work we delivered in each sector. The map, which showcases the geographic locations of our office and our projects. So now, topic of today's integrated design of Aquatic Gallery. With me, two of the senior team members are here. We'll try to be more collaborative the way we do in our office. We fight a lot, we debate a lot, and we try to work together for the better project and better result at the end of the day. So, client comes to us. Now, the projects that generally we deal with are two nature. One is private, the other is public. This being a public project, so it has a lot of different dimensions. And how do you deal and still get the final result is always a matter of journey and a lot of pain and rewards at the end of the day. So the client comes as part of a competitive bidding, right? And how do you really latch on that opportunity to deliver the best out of it? So some of the clients' background. Now, this project, as many of you know, is in Ahmedabad, Science City, which is a larger campus, about 200 acres. And we generally have a tendency that this is the project, but we try to make it larger. Whether we get a fee or not, that's irrelevant. But you have to look where the project belongs, the context, and do the justice to the larger picture. So we were awarded just a Science City Aquatic Gallery, right? And we said, OK, well, we only have one hexagon. It's limiting us. So we ended up doing master planning. And existing, as you can see, a lot of hexagons were already there. Now, I can keep asking why hexagon, but it's there. Well, deal with it, right? How to deal with it? OK, can I look at bigger picture? Can I master plan it for free for architects so that I can get out of it? So a lot of this back and forth happens as we look at the existing. The overall base map, some things were there, some things were not there, only hexagons were there with the roads. And that also all broken roads. So that was the beginning of the journey. So we looked at the issues of the site and started talking to the leadership. Now, in the public project, the interesting thing is, who is the client? Sometimes you wonder, right? Is it a political leadership? Is it a bureaucratic leadership? Is it both? Is it really citizens of the city? Right? So it's really amazed that you have to keep working. You want to add some of that? So that's the challenge, but you have to keep working at it, and we do that. So we looked at, forget about our hexagon, let's look at the bigger picture, and we started a lot of work on that. Luckily, after 3 years or 3.5 years, we got little fee of the master planning at the end of the day, which was not there. I won't talk about the nitty-gritty of the design. What I want to stress is the collaborative spirit and look at the beyond your project brief and create a project brief which is more meaningful for the citizens that you are servicing. So that's the whole point here. So we looked at what's existing and what upgradation is required, not only for Aquatic Gallery, but the whole thing, because ultimately you have to pass through all these mazes to come to the Aquatic Gallery, right? And then all that done, these three hexagons were our main focus. One hexagon, one gallery. So you can see robotics, aquatics, and astronomy. Today we'll only focus on the aquatic. So talking about the design strategies. And then that's, again, going back to 10 metrics. How do you channelize your 10 metrics and the value systems into the design driver of the project? So that's our standard process for any project, whether it's a small, large, doesn't matter, but you have to go through this framework in conceptualizing. So iconic. Now, every project, whether it's a small house to the large political agenda-driven project, uses word iconic. I want iconic. And you go as an architect, figure out what is that iconic, right? Then, being in a science city, the driver has to be there. Well-defined circulation network across the campus, not just within the science aquatic gallery, has to be there. Then, through the design intervention, what larger impact we can do to the entire 200-acre campus, right? So that's what we nailed down, that, OK, just aquatic will not do the good job. We need to touch all these aspects of experience that any visitors will get before coming to aquatic and after seeing the aquatic. So we nailed down all of those. And this is the largest master plan that was the overall big picture, 200-acre hexagon wasn't given, but we tried to work with it and created the world-class science city as our project. Then zoning happens, phasing happens, all that happens, and then clustering of the different science themes and so forth happens. And then coming back to galleries in those 3 hexagons and the larger picture around those zones. And all that is around a wonderful 70-acre natural park, which is now done. So that's the bigger impact, what I'm saying, that through a small project, you can try to do a bigger impact in the overall context. Some of the canal that goes through this, we try to map what can be done with that. The park and how do you create a ride around that, and the infrastructure upgrade, and the mapping of some of the textures and materiality to have a cohesive experience, some of the nodes and streetscapes and junctions. And we gave a bigger vision to client that, OK, over the next 10, 15 years, the entire science city can be transformed one after another in next 15 years. So that's the bigger plan. So that's now going to the aquatic gallery. Please, go ahead.
I would also like to add, when we do this exercise of master planning, along with the master planning exercise, we also look at the services throughout the campus, be it electrical services, stormwater services, that are existing and future plan regarding the sewage, water supply, low voltage services. So goes hand in hand with the master planning, because it's equally important when you look at it that way.
Good point. I think structurally, all of the roads and the connectivity, all of the infrastructure across the 200-acre of development, what's existing and what requires has to be part of the overall puzzle. Thank you, Parth, for bringing that up. So then we started how we drive the one of the hexagon of aquatic gallery. So macro, Now we'll only focus on one hexagon, so stay with me. 3 neighbors that we inherited, and we need to respond to them. So having an hexagon, so the first you draw is, okay, either another hexagon or 2 stars and then create a star or maybe a circle or whatnot, right? So that itself starts flowing because of the hexagon. And the vision statement given by client, and then we really worked with them to enhance and commit together some of the key facts of the entire aquatic gallery. 4 million liters of water. If you can see the context, right? Similar size residential project would be 1/15 of a water requirement
less, yes.
in the same area. So that's just the context that you can see, right? Now, for such buildings, it's the same process. Whether you design a house, okay, what's the family size, how many rooms, da-da-da-da. Here, how many fishes, dynamics change. How many people per day, how many people per hour, dynamics change, right? So that's the shift in your thinking that you will have to bring. Process stays same. Doesn't matter. The process stays same. As long as you just follow the process, I think the result will lead in the right way. So that's the whole point here. So again, design driver for the aquatic gallery. Like for the master plan, now we are talking the aquatic gallery. That interactive, immersive, educational experiences. At the end, entertaining, visually attractive, sustainable in operation cost, as well as the built overall materials aspect, and can it add to a place making within the science city and create some nodes and so forth. So that was the overall. Now, as I said, hexagon itself lends to something which fits within the hexagon, right? Now, this being an aquatic, we looked for inspiration in nature, and there are a lot of these wonderful inspirations that you find, and out of 3 that resembled to our team, and that's what we said. Can we come up a form that really is inspired by these natural forms? At the same time, it allows the smooth flow of the exhibit visits, that it does not interrupt your flow from one exhibit to the other. So that was the whole point here. Again, site context, the larger flow, and how from the entry you come to the atrium, and then how the entire flow is created from one exhibit to the other exhibit, and then how it lends you the outside at the egress. So that was mapped in a crude way. Again, as we said, water, it's a water world. And it was an exciting journey for entire team to learn about water and water life that we never generally otherwise go in this deep if we would not have worked in this aquatic gallery. Some of the unique features of the project, which is not necessary to read, but the images will speak by itself. The major exhibit attractions are listed here, penguin, sharks, and many others. Now, once you have the form, and how do you create the seamless experience of entry receiving, orienting, and then start the journey of one exhibit after another exhibit and make a journey so that by the end of the last tank that they visit, at least they have an appreciation of nature, water, and water life, and what is the importance of water life in our life. That was the whole purpose. So as you can see, zones, Indian zones, Asian zones, African zones, American zones, oceans of the world, and then main tank zone, entrance zone, penguins, and wonderful zones. So these were the zones and clusters of the tanks. Now, when I say tank, it kind of sounds a little odd, but it's a real exhibit we are talking, live exhibit we are talking. And then we mapped with the footfall, how crowded it will get, how bottleneck it will get as the people move around, all that we needed to integrate so that experience is not compromised. But in India, what happens that whatever we design is less. We design for, let's say, per day, this many people end, and the ticket close. It doesn't happen that way, right? So whatever we design, 2 times crowd is always there. Different plan, again, same exercise, some sections. Again, collaboration. And we all designers here, God is in detail. And I just added one word, God is in integrated detailing, right? As an architect, you can only think this much. When you have structural, when you have other disciplines, lighting, sound, acoustics, water technologies, life safeties, etc., you will have a 10 lens that will work with you to enhance your design vision. So that's what we try to do here. So I'll just give you one example when we say detail. One is the entrance से flow कैसे होगा visitor का कि पहले इंडियन जोन ये टैंक होगी ये एग्जिबिट होगा ऐसे ऐसे इसमें यहाँ पे एवरेज 3 मिनट रुकेगा यहाँ पे एवरेज 1 मिनट रुकेगा वो कैलकुलेशन अंदाज लगाना पड़ता है so that at the end of the day it's all seamless experience. So this is just one slide. There were 56 slides of entire this that कहाँ से कैसे जाएगा visitor. Then now one tank. तो उसमें भी specification आता है. This tank, how many volume of water, what size, what type of a tank, a common name of the species that will live in, quantity of the species की भी ये tank में 260 species, 260 life रहने वाली है. वो भी detail में, and what type of food and water, lighting, temperature, etc., it will need. So you have a live exhibits to really sustain for the life of it. So it was a lot of learning for all of us. And there were 86 live exhibit from 2 meter by 2 meter to probably largest, कितना था उत्सव? Largest अपना? 18 meters? हाँ, largest exhibit was 18 meter wide, single panel.
3-story.
And 3-story exhibit space. So every tank has been specified, detailed, and the fishes, what their food, what their quarantine time, their transfer time, everything has to be detailed to that level. That's what we mean by God is in detail and integrated detail and collaborative way. As an architect, I would have no clue कि भाई ये मछली को क्या चाहिएगा. Yes. So part of this was that, okay, we created a form फिर उसका मटेरियल क्या होगा? पहले हमको साइन ही चाहिए था. Then we said, no, Gujarat is known, Ahmedabad is known for concrete, and it's easy to do and easy to maintain. So at the end, we turned around to a concrete. अभी all 3 dimension में ये curved wall है concrete में with a humongous size. So Utsav can speak a lot.
Yes, I can. But see, when I got the project for the first time, when I heard about the project for the first time, the first question was, am I designing a tank or am I designing a structure? I mean, a building. 4 million plus liters of water in a building containing, the most precious lives. Going beyond that understanding and the question that I posed, I kind of realized that the form itself had such amount of complexity. And obviously, yes, Ahmedabad has that heritage of doing amazing exposed concrete work, and that kind of forms are larger challenge going forward. I'll try and present as well. These concrete panels that you see, they are curvilinear, inclined, and largely having grooves or groove plan, which kind of creates a complexity in terms of execution like no other. So the shuttering and the system formwork that had to be adopted, and just to strategize the whole system with the structure was an unparalleled challenge. And I think we spent close to 2-3 months just figuring out with the contractor, sitting with the contractor, how do we work out the shuttering? I mean, it's just one thing to detail, one thing to design, and then to sit with the contractor to kind of figure out how do we execute this. So that's where the challenges kind of came up as we went on, and the product eventually, after all the efforts that we made, was phenomenal. We actually ended up using, because of the pigmentation and the texture and the color that also was envisioned, we ended up using white cement also. So, and I think we did, if you can see, close to 10-15 different samples just to achieve the right pigment and the right concrete mix design. So the extent of our involvement was not just restricted to detailing the reinforcement and giving the concrete beams and steel beams. It went way beyond what our conventional realm of structural engineering really limits us to. That's something, as you can see, for the groove itself, the curvature, every single panel had a curvature. So 1500 millimeters by 900 millimeters was the grooves, square, and that itself had a curvature of 45 mm, 2.53 mm. Now, to achieve that over a 360 degree, with a plan dimension of close to, I can't even fathom the overall plan dimension, and bring that to the real working, and imagine it's all inclined even in the section. So yes, we did adopt 200 mm thick walls. We did adopt self-compacting concrete. We did adopt white cement for the pigmentation and the color and the look and the feel of it. And of course, subsequently, the results are for everyone to see, the efforts of our labor.
So, interesting story. Over 3-4 months, several mock-ups, about 18, 19, as he said, were rejected. And client was anxious, lot of political pressure, bureaucratic pressure, as well as the contractor pushing that he's losing money and so forth. And then that's what I meant by pain points, that you have to just keep working at it, don't lose the track and patience, and sometimes you get stressed out, but at the end, the results pay off. So you'll see a lot of these mock-ups and write-ups on the walls and so forth. That's at the end of the fun when you see the final product that, yeah, it was worth it, and it was truly rewarding. So now you can see just 3 hexagon. This was there. This is new building. This is new building. And you can see that things are taking shape 1 hexagon at a time, and over years it will continue. But I will quickly flash through. Images are wonderful. I think 2 photographers have worked on this. And it speaks a lot. You just enjoy it. I will just point here and there, but I think let photographs speak of the quality of space, the quality of work, the quality of experience, and so forth. A lot of large-scale art installations were done as part of the project, and you see just a little of that on one side. Yes. And then as an architect, we all love a human figure which looks rural, right? अच्छा लगता है ना अपने को तो where the photographer brought few of those. I mean, this is not a real visitor, so but it looks good in a photography. So he brought it, and I enjoyed it. And these fins were really pain in the neck. I mean, we drew in a model, we imagined it, but to make it happen was probably one of the most difficult tasks to achieve it. Yeah.
So we finished the structure, and the most difficult part ended up being the fins.
Nice. And everybody was avoiding कि उसको figure करते हैं. किसी को idea नहीं है कैसे figure करेंगे, उसको कैसे बनाएंगे. So 2 months एक mock-up करते हैं, fail होता है, दूसरा mock-up करते हैं, we'll think more. वो last moment तक वो ready नहीं हुआ था, बाकी सब ready हो गया था. And then we have created a water basin. So you feel as if you are going underwater through the escalators. So this is the fin I was talking. And this was the last one idea that worked well, because we wanted a same finish, same texture, same look. And it really goes seamless.
And not concrete. And not concrete.
And this is the sectional plan of the fin. Sorry. Some of the interior experience, there is a huge projection wall. So as soon as you are received in the atrium, that's your first experience, which really is overwhelming and wow. And then there are a lot of this interactive booth to query about the water life, what's there, how you can go into deep learning experience. So when we say tank or an exhibit, one exhibit is this. Now inside this, there's a room of 10 meter by 5 meter or whatever, and then there is a life support system behind that. So you can see the layered space when we say one tank or one exhibit. It sounds very simple, but it's a very complex collaborative design process. Lot of technology, interactive technologies, projection technologies, lighting, all that was being part of it. This is a live projection, 5 projections working together. And again, acoustics has to play really well, otherwise your experience is totally compromised. So every exhibit, acoustic, lighting, sound, has to be tailored to those things. This is the tunnel that It's the largest in Asia is what they are saying, but I doubt it would be largest in South Asia, I guess.
Yeah.
And then a lot of this art integration was done to magnify the water life. And these are all acoustic panels, as you can see in the watercolors. And also some exhibits where you can touch and feel the live exhibits for kids to see and experience them. And this is one of the largest acrylic that is being done as part of the 3-story Shark Tank. And all this staff, which really maintains the exhibit, has to be trained. Now, was part of our scope that, okay, what type of this person will be, how experienced, what he will do, what he will not do. So lot of learning was there as part of this. And all of these coral reefs and even creating Indian theme out of it. Penguin zone, and the cafeteria, which also feels like you are at ocean or somewhere underwater. So that also was continued in the theme. A little more on structural and then quick on MEP, and then we'll open up for quick questions. I think some of these RCC we already spoke.
Yep.
You want to speak some more?
Yeah, so I'll take charge of that. So, like I said, when we got the project, the question was whether it's a structure as such or it's a tank, and we had to kind of treat it both ways. So one of the principal points of starting as a structural design reference was to ensure that all the tanks that we are designing are actually designed as an uncracked section. So that kind of became like a basic reference point. Now, can we go back in this? Okay, so the structural geometry. Now I'll quickly, take you through the challenges that we face. Now already, obviously, you've seen what the structure really, looks like. But I'll highlight the, few very critical challenges over the period of, 2.5, 3 years that we faced. So the geometry in itself had, a cascading roof system. I mean, there was not a single slab reference point for us to kind of start with. And every single quadrant of this hexagon or circular shape had a different top of slab at every at all the 4 corners. So the geometry in itself kind of created that challenge for us to detail out and explain it to the contractors in the most lucid way possible. Now, all these tanks, I mean, I think for us as structural engineers and for most architects and all of us who are in the field of civil engineering, our general go-to is as a material for structure is reinforcement, structural steel, concrete, worst come worst, timber. That's all, and then we kind of start wondering, okay, is acrylic really a structural material? This is where we explored. I mean, yes, we actually ended up using acrylic as a structural element, and you will see going forward how that really acts and as retaining wall, and we ended up doing actually the largest single 350 thick acrylic panel, which kind of retains close to 2 million liters of water of the Shark Tank. So and how do we integrate that with the whole structure? I mean, there's acrylic, okay, it's standing, but to integrate that with the whole structure was something that we also kind of explored as part of our structural journey.
So the largest acrylic used was that larger panel, which was about 12 meter. single acrylic with 45 centimeter dead feet thickness wala acrylic, which is taking a load of that 2 million liter of a water by itself. Ye wala.
Yep. And this was, probably the highlight of the project for us. And, these are just some reference points of how, all the tanks, I mean, these are single sketches of different tanks that were actually placed on the structure. Imagine this is a ground plus 2 storied plus 1 basement kind of a structure, and each floors have different series of tanks and exhibits all across. And each one of them had to be kind of detailed out in its own individualistic fashion, integrating the acrylic with the tank RCC. Now, while we are actually doing that, the challenge that comes is how do we kind of make it leak-proof, waterproof? How do we ensure that the reinforcement that goes in the RCC slabs and tanks, they obviously don't corrode. We did use CRS steel all across in that, but a very key point that we kind of learned from our fish doctor, that I call them, is there can't be certain waterproofing chemicals that be used in the overall tank, because it kind of affects the marine life in how they respond. And so we were not actually allowed to use swell bar. We were not actually allowed to use penne bar, anything to ensure that the construction joints are leak proof. So the challenge then obviously cascaded over to the contractor, that you have to now cast all those tanks in a single go. I can't allow a construction joint. So figure that out. And then to integrate that with the temperature controlled concrete, all that. And I must appreciate I would actually like to call our partners as the contractors were very much our partners, and we kind of saw to it that we all achieved the results that we were looking for. So yeah, close to 2,000 metric tons of steel went into it. I won't get into the waterproofing system, but yes, you can see a sketch of how the acrylic was integrated with the whole system. Yeah, so acrylic as a structural element. So each in every single acrylic panel was designed, modeled as a finite element with its own structural properties, modulus of elasticity, density, and shear modulus. And that kind of formed a never-before challenge, because there is no reference point in the Indian codes as well for acrylic design. So we kind of had to rely on ASTM and see to it that we kind of adhere to that in the best way possible. So if you see, the acrylics are actually largely integrated with the RCC component of it through nib formation and silicon joints. Now, those were the most critical part of how you kind of design and ensure the strength of those joints. Now, this obviously is our canopy, and the atrium truss, close to 30 meter dia, and every single truss, I would say, weight of the truss 15 metric tons. Now to lift it right in the center of the whole gallery posted a massive challenge, because the lever arm for the crane itself was close to 77 meters. Now how do I erect this right in the center and to access it while the rest of the construction is going on? These are some of the construction images and few of the drawings that we kind of formed and detailed out for this 31 meter dia, central atrium truss. And obviously it had to be kind of fire-proofed. We ensured intumescent paint on that as well. These are, the bottom ones that you see is the raft concrete for the shark tank.
Go back just a second. This image is really interesting. It shows, one more, the scale of the whole thing. Right?
Yeah.
This is just one segment of the entire gallery.
So even the Shark Tank panel that you saw, the whole panel, had to be actually rested on nibs, and to cast that entire nib in a or a 20-meter nib in a single car, single concreting, that kind of formed an unparalleled challenge. Yep.
There we go.
So, Parth, over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Hi,
Now,
everybody.
the MEP and the life support system is the critical for such projects. Otherwise, nothing of this would exist. So I think quickly, Parth can touch on that.
Sure. I think you showed all the pretty pictures now, all the good pictures. Now you'll have to see all this. But believe me, yeah, it was equally complex to design.
You have to leave? Yeah, no problem.
He has a train to catch.
5-6 हो गई अभी. But structure हो गया है. You can.
Sorry, gentlemen, I have to kind of leave. Apologies for that, but I hope I've kind of presented what I wanted to. So,
Thank you. Sir. You are staying back, right? You are staying
I'm
back.
staying,
Okay.
yeah. So it was complex. We have studied different aquariums. How Jayesh explained the form. We had the galleries, and then the tanks, and then the back of house area. Each area has a different requirement for humidity, the temperature, the exhaust system, the fresh air system, when you design the the process is the same, but when you design the other building, you design for comfort and facilities. Here you have lives to deal with, aquatic animals. They need a different. Each tank needs different temperature, needs different water quality. So these are some of the challenges for the HVAC design. You have 86 tanks open from above, and all that humidity, the evaporation rate for all these tanks. You have to take that into account to design the HVAC system to provide adequate fresh air, exhaust the air. Fish eat fish, so every tank has the fish food. It cannot smell because we are obviously designing the state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind building. So all these factors are taken into account, and solutions were given. Wait a second. I need to go back, actually.
Let me operate for you.
Yeah, here. Right. So that's how the HVAC system was designed. Each tank we had provided. The solution was to provide, energy efficient, BMS integrated chilled water plant that we have provided. Different heat exchangers were provided for each tank, where we were cooling the tank water for each life support system. Each life support system. Can you go to next? Next. And then obviously all the life support system are integrated into the data BMS system, where they are operating and controlling the temperature, humidity. The fresh air was provided, humongous amount of fresh air. We have 8,000, close to 8,000 visitors every day. And sustainability was one of the points. So different technologies for cooling with the domestic water was employed, and energy was saved. Can we go to electrical now? The penguin exhibit was a different animal, where temperature, filtration, humidity requirement was totally different, and we had to design the separate kind of HVAC system for the penguin exhibit to make them comfortable. And they are happy now. We see in the gallery. Next. Rusting was a problem, obviously, so all aluminum ductwork, AHUs, the air outlets, the cable trays, everything, because of the saline environment. So all the different type of systems were used for all engineered system, be it electrical, be it HVAC, be it plumbing. Go next. So these are some of the points where, the total, 900 ton of cooling were provided, 600 ton. Now, believe me, this you see, any regular commercial building would be, 1/4 or 1/5 of this, but because of the nature of the building, the systems were massive, and at the same time, we had to make it sustainable and energy efficient. So, that was one of the challenges. Go next. The BMS, everything was automated into the BMS. The tank lighting, was another different animal. Each aquatic animal needs different temperature, different color of light. So we had to study that all aquatic animals and what they like, what they don't like, and then the different lighting we provided. Redundancy was another issue because, the air conditioning is on 24/7, the lightings were on 24/7. You're dealing with lives, and you cannot hurt a single fish. So everything was redundant, the electrical system, the HVAC system, plumbing system, and BMS integrated. The life support system, every life support system. So you have 86 exhibit, 86 life support system, 86 panels, 86 automations, level controllers, the protein skimmers, the pumps for each system, and everything was designed and automated. The lighting, the atrium lighting, the day lighting, the lighting modeling was done for the entire gallery. Now, when it comes to plumbing and water, if you see the storage tank, you will see like 1/15 of this size of tank in the residential commercial building. Huge tanks, salt water, fresh water. The rings were, into the machine rooms, mixing all the waters. You provide the, every little thing. Like, how do you mix the salt into the water? You have the small crane above where you drop the water. You have the air bubble and air grid where you can mix the salt into the water. So all those were provided, for each life support system. The water quality was different. The TDS was different. Temperature was different. These are some of the components for the LSS where you have to, basically take a look at each of this and provide, whatever is required for the water, for the electrical, for the automation. And these are some of the drawings, some of the reject. You cannot reject the salt water into the city sewer or the city storm. So the entire different type of system that was designed where you reject the salt out of the wastewater. 10% replenishment was there every month. So 5-6 million liter, and then you're replenishing 10% of that every month. So the STP was sized for that. The reject system was sized for that, and we ended up reusing all that water into our tanks. So the sustainability point of view, it's one of the most sustainable building in Gujarat, I would say. So obviously disaster management, one of the bureaucrats came up with this, what if the acrylic breaks for the big tank? And the structural engineer said, the vendor said, it cannot break. But the bureaucrat is like, no, what if it breaks? So we ended up designing the disaster management system underneath the tank where we had the pump and we had the separate pipeline that if the tank breaks, all the water will be discharged from that place out of the Science City campus. So it was as complex as that, but yeah, it's working.
Okay.
It was tested. So, thank you.
So the idea was that yes, we all really get excited with the design side, which we call architecture or interior design, but I think there's a lot that goes behind the scene. And specifically for this type of a project, so I categorically kept architecture smaller in terms of number of sides, so you can appreciate that there's more to the building that we need to really bring on the table through collaborative spirit. But concluding, The clarity of the vision is utmost required by not only one player, but entire team, from client to contractor to O&M staff. So that's what we mean by clarity of vision. Leadership commitment. किसी का आइडिया आया कि एक्वेरियम करना है, but is that commitment real, or is it just a vote-driven, a small spark in some whimsical political leadership? I mean, things can go off. So leadership at all level, whether it's client side, whether it's design side, whether it's consulting side, contractor side, all has to align. That is what requires. We all talk about design brief, but I think to really write the right design brief is a key success driver for any project. So we stress a lot of time in defining what is the right design brief and what would be the process mapping to really get that realized. Collaboration, we already touched on that. Design integration, we already touched on that. With examples, look for innovative approach. There is always a potential for any ideas that we can kick in. And represent well. If we have a good design, good project, but if you don't really know how to really represent well, then it doesn't do a good job for you. So have to find a way to represent well as a concluding remark. And last but not least, keep working at it. Road will be bumpy, painful, but the results will be rewarding if you are staying committed, and make sure your team stays committed till the end result is realized. And I think we realized that in this project and project after project. The next handwritten, as I said, project is aquarium, one hexagon, but you want to connect with big. What's 200 acre like? How can I create a bigger impact? So try to bring that element in the overall dynamics of your work. Then is there a way you can transform, introduce a new transformation through a design? So that's another thing we look for, and I have tried to demonstrate that one or the other way. And being a design professionals, we have to really see where our responsibilities connect, because I think there is no responsibility. Thank you. Seems like mic is off, so I'm done.
Thank you, thank you. I think that calls for a huge round of applause.
Can take a quick question or two?
Yeah, we can have a couple of questions.
Okay. You already have a mics.
I don't have a question.
You don't
yeah,
have a question.
I'm just
Okay.
announcing. Anyone from the audience? Anyone from the jurors? I'm sure 45 minutes is not the right, amount of time to justify this kind of project.
No, I appreciate the time and the opportunity.
It can go on and on.
No questions. Life is easy. Thank you.
No questions. Okay. Thank you once again. A huge round of yeah.
Snehal
Okay.
bhai has a
Snehal,
question.
Snehal has a question. Snehal.
It's not really a question. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
It's not really a question. It's just a curiosity. Of course, it's an amazing project, so fascinating. You feel so jealous of not doing such a nice project, not getting an opportunity to do that. Full marks to the entire team, the way you collaborated. My curiosity is, on day-to-day basis, on such a complex project, there are so many different types of people involved within the design team, with the MEP, with the structure, and there are so many others whom you're not mentioning here. So how does the communication happen? Is it structured in a way, a pre-planned way, or it just evolves?
Very good question. I think communication generally is where we fail most of the time. So, yeah, we generally try to create an organogram for such projects in terms of each one's role and what would be the point contact from that team. So that framework is always defined at the beginning of the project. But being a human, we always circumvent and don't really follow the framework as specified. That's where we have to keep bringing people on track. Okay, this communication is the only channel that needs to be used, and these are the people that has to be on the communication without fail. वो बार-बार करना पड़ता है. The other thing is that asking question that, okay, did you understand? Explain me. Right? What did you understand? Explain me. तो वो gap जितना भी रहता है ना, वो थोड़ा नज़दीक आ जाता है, which I just generally do. I have 3 simple rules that if I want to communicate, because our communications are softer and imaginative, right? It's not that, okay, you have a thing in the front of you and you are communicating. It's in your head and somebody is listening. So only 3 simple rules I have said. Whatever I want to communicate, I will find a similar visual. May not be 100%, maybe 60%, 70%. कि ऐसा कुछ मैं सोच रहा हूँ, वो इमेज सामने दिखानी बहुत ज़रूरी है. ये बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है, but ऐसा कुछ सोच रहे हैं. Then, second thing is ask the question. तेरे को क्या दिख रहा है? क्योंकि मेरे को कुछ दिखता है वो इमेज में, उसको दिखता है कि नहीं? तेरे को दिखता है वो जो मैं देखता हूँ. Simple. वो 2 क्वेश्चन पूछते हो, समझ में आ जाएगा. If he is on the same page. Third, जो गैप हैं अगर नहीं है तो अच्छा अभी इसको कैसे आगे जा सकते हैं, एक्शन तेरा क्या होगा और मेरा क्या होगा. ये 3 चीज़ नहीं होती हैं तब तक मीटिंग में ख़त्म नहीं करने की. सिंपल रूल, कम्युनिकेट करो थ्रू विजुअल, उसको पूछो वो क्या समझ रहा है, लास्ट आगे क्या करेंगे, उसकी नोट में भी होगा, मेरी नोट में भी होगा. अगर वो डीएनए नीचे तक आता है तो जनरली कम्युनिकेशन गैप मिनिमाइज होंगे, फिर भी रहेंगे. सो नॉट दैट सोफिस्टिकेटेड, बट वो करते हैं हम, एटलीस्ट मैं करता हूँ.
Thank you, Jayesh bhai.
Yes, am I allowed to take more questions?
We can take one more, I guess.
Thank you, Jayesh bhai.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Can we have a mic in the audience?
कौन है? There was a question there.
Yeah, Jayesh bhai, incredible project. First off, hats off to the entire team because not many such efforts have been seen, post-independence, like these were seen the times when we just got independence, such big projects were realized. What is really intriguing to me is that while you explained that, there are a lot of stakeholders, I think the biggest stakeholder here was it's a public service project. So the government, the bureaucracy behind it. So how did you really engage with the system and manage them in terms of, monetary bindings, in terms of delays on the project? As you said, there were a lot of samples which were rejected for the good, of course. So how did you really manage that side? Because here, architect is really playing the role of a, project manager sometimes, really, there's an image that is stuck. There are certain monetary bindings that are there, some financial outflows that have been committed. And I'm sure, with all the sampling and some detailing, the costs might have, shot up somewhere here and there. So how did you really cut through that? Because I think that would be very interesting perspective. And we all architects fail somewhere there. So please.
I'll be very frank. We are also learning as we go, but I will try to answer that. What happens in most of such public projects that leadership on the client side will change. You have to accept that. जो secretary day one से था, by the time tender was awarded, he already moved and another secretary got a charge. बराबर है? So you are on your own now. So the 3 secretaries changed from beginning till end. And how do you manage each one, because their focus, their priorities are not aligned? So what we try to do is very simple. Documents इतने सॉलिड बनाओ कि सेक्रेटरी को भी चेंज करना है तो 2 बार सोचेगा, चेंज नहीं कर पाएगा. बट उसके लिए पेनफुल रास्ता है कि डॉक्यूमेंट्स इतने सॉलिड बनाने कि स्क्रू भी डिफाइन हो गया और लिख लिया है डॉक्यूमेंट में, तो वो चेंज नहीं हो पाएगा. सेक्रेटरी बदलेगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर बदलेगा, बट वो कोई चेंज नहीं कर पाएगा. दैट इज सिंपल रूल दैट आई हैव लर्नड. बट वो चैलेंज क्या है कि हाँ, ये प्रोजेक्ट तो हमको 2 साल में ख़त्म करना है और आपको 1 मंथ में टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट देने हैं. अभी 1 मंथ में इतना प्रोजेक्ट में कैसे डॉक्यूमेंट कर पाऊँ? दैट इज़ वेयर द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज. सो यू कीप लर्निंग, कीप वर्किंग, वर्क वेरी हार्ड. कि वो 1 महीना इज लाइक यू आर working 72 hours in 24 hours. An entire team is doing that कि कुछ स्क्रू नहीं रह जाए जो जरूरी हैं ये डिज़ाइन को सपोर्ट करने के लिए. तो वो थोड़ा पेनफुल रास्ता है, बट आई थिंक इट्स वर्थ टेकिंग पेन. Yes,
thank you. Okay,
thank you.
That's really all. Another huge round of applause. I'd request
thank you,
Architect Azmi Wadia and Architect Sarosh Wadia to do the honors and felicitate our speakers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, you have your own? Come in the middle. They've asked, make sure that everybody's in the middle. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. How are you, Sarosh?
Thank you, Team INI and Architect Sarosh Wadia and Architect Azmi Wadia for doing the honors.